Hey there, Internet. How's it going? I'm your boy John from John Grave Show, and today I'm just feeling like getting some stuff off my chest, mostly because I just feel like ranting for like a good few minutes about the gaming industry. And guess what? I really gotta ask some questions. How come nobody in the gaming industry is necessarily embarrassed about like how they have been doing business practices over the past few years? Mostly because if you seriously think about it, it's mostly like. Now, I'm making this video in retaliation for the definitive version of Tomb Raider, and this is something that kind of has been bothering me for a long while in the gaming industry. And mostly, it's always been like, how come is it that like whenever they release a game, it's always like a year or like it's always like a year or two later when they like always like release like a version of a game which is always supposed to be the final version of it and have all of the DLC and supposed to have like all the patches and everything else in it. And I always wonder this is like, how come you can't do this like from the start? Well, not necessarily with the DLC, but necessarily just patching everything just so that it works right. I mean, like, this bothered me back when Saints Row came out, Saints Row the Third came out, and apparently they were charging people money for cheat codes. Like, so basically, I can still have the cheat codes and the big head mode and all the fun stuff and all the extra missions and all of the extra clothes and stuff. You know what I mean? I may can have all that, especially since I got all that free in Saints Row 2. Now in Saints Row 3, I have to pay money for it. That's kind of a little thievish if you catch my drift. Mostly because you see this is why they actually kind of like were like angry with Capcom and Namco when they made Street Fighter Cross Tekken and people found out that there was like actually on disc like DLC. I mean, like, there were, like, actual things that were locked within the disc so that people would actually have to, like, pay money just so that they can unlock it. And this isn't necessarily just only that game. They've done this with, like, plenty of games, such as, like, Street Fighter and like, a and, like, a few other games. I can't think of them from off the top of my head, but I do know that Street Fighter is one of those cases. Now, going from Street Fighter, there's also the whole thing of, like, Halfhearted DLC of people just sort of just like throwing things in just for the sake of having DLC within their game. In this case, Mass Effect 2 and plenty of other games that also do that. I do realize that like not too long ago we did have the little zombie like epidemic with all the games that came out like a few years ago. When possibly before 2012, everybody was like hype up on the zombie DLC of adding zombies within their games. Now, here's my problem with that. I had no problem with it. The thing is, though, is that every game around that time that was supposed to be popular in some way had a zombie mode to it. Now, the zombie mode itself, it wasn't bad. It was just that every game around that time, or at least most of the games around that time, would up and release a zombie mode package to it, and it wasn't even finished. It was mostly like something that was sort of just like lead into nowhere. It was mostly just like one day they wake up and it's zombies, and then they don't even do anything else with it. It's just like, well, yeah, man, some zombies. You run out and shoot them, and that's the end of the game. That's it. Because I do know that like Borderlands tried to do it with the zombie on Dr. Ned. Then there was Red Dead Redemption. They also had one which that just came the hell out of nowhere. I'm like, what are you doing with this game? Just that's in the Wild West that was supposed to be about like a something else, and then just throw zombies in there just to like sort of like mix the whole thing up. Now I do have to give Infamous 2 some credit there because they did do the vampire thing, but at the same time, it was sort of like just a DLC mode that was mostly just thrown together or just slapped together, just so that they can make some extra money from off of this game, which for the most part was actually a good game until it's like, well, yeah, here's all this extra stuff that's sort of just thrown in just for the sake of us needing more money. And you can see that today solely because it's like there really is no point in really buying the definitive version of Tomb Raider. I mean, to be honest, there really is no reason for anyone to buy it. Mostly for people who really like Tomb Raider, but like if you're one of those people who already own the game and have already beaten the game, and most likely you've bought in all of the DLC for it anyway, if most likely you are that kind of person, there really is no reason for you to even go out and buy it. And I know some people are like, well, yeah, man, it's on the PC, or at least like, man, it's the PC version that's being ported over, or something to that effect. And mostly, it has way more stuff in it. You already have it. You already bought it. So what's the point of even buying it? There is no reason for you to buy it unless most likely you just want to have the full copy, but you already spent like $60 plus more to buy this game. There is no reason for it. I mean, like, I see if they would have did what like the people Midway Games did when they released like the free DLC for some of their characters in that, or I mean free costumes and such for that in the original Mortal Kombat. But now that's not even the case. It's just like, well, yeah, man, we just felt like putting out a full version of the game with all the DLC and all of the patches, so yeah, just go ahead and do that. Which, honestly, there is no reason to buy it now. There is no reason to buy any game that has a full mode to it unless you haven't played it yet. And if you played it already, there really is no reason for it. Mostly because a lot of people, they usually wait for like the prices to drop anyway, because they don't want to get the $6 version. But now, here you go, the game all over again. Who knows what price is going to be? It's not, well, probably might not be 60, probably might be like 30 or 40 bucks, which is okay, but still, that's kind of like, that to me, it mostly just paints the picture of like, there really is no reason to buy a game for $60 when technically, like a year or two from now, they're just gonna like they are gonna add DLC to it, and then they're just gonna release the game all over again with like the entire package there and all of the DLC and everything else in it. I mean, they kind of did that with Injustice, because there's like an Injustice Complete mode coming out now. I mean, like, I think it's already out, and people can buy it for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3 and all that, and you have every single character and all the stuff in it. I mean, they did it for Mortal Kombat, they did it for Batman, they did it for, well, Tomb Raider now. I kind of wonder what else they're going to do that with. In terms of me just ranting for like a good 7 minutes or almost 8 minutes, I do see this as like a good thing in terms of like helping the people out who really don't have the game, or they haven't played it yet and they just want to get the full experience. However, this is sort of a double-edged sword, mostly because it's good for the people who haven't played it, but then it's bad for the people who already own the game and are like, well, yeah, man, I'm excited for it. There really is no reason to be excited for any of it because you already own the game and you already beat it. So, kind of doesn't necessarily matter. And this is something that's honestly kind of worrying me, because it's like, who's to say that, like, in the next few years, that this might not become, like, a serious problem with, like, the next, with the next generation of PlayStation 4 games. I mean, like, even Forza even has this problem now, man, where basically for the racing game that is, it's a $60 game that basically has, like, a whole bunch of DLC cars, which I believe that they locked away, like, half of them. They have, like, you also have to buy, like, not to mention that, like, getting into like other microtransactions here, you also have to like pay for online for all of your games, and also you have to like deal with all the massive product placement that's sort of being littered throughout the game. So really, it's kind of painting. I mean, like, I don't really see it as too much bad, but it's enough to keep you worried, in which that, is this something that's really going to like affect the gaming industry in a good way or bad way? That's for you out there in the audience to decide. Please let me know down in the comments, what do you think about this thing about this topic. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and share this video on all of your favorite media sites. Please, thank you for supporting my channel.